we have left. Like we left with regression testing, right? So we quickly cover this. 6 more slides. Okay, next we have this, acceptance testing. So acceptance testing is like, it's like a, it's kind of UAT. Okay, UAT is like it's being specific, like user acceptance testing. Okay, user acceptance testing is like being specific. As acceptance testing is like it's being general. Okay, so here we'll. So it's kind of like this. What we do in this acceptance testing is to like see the customer specified requirements. Okay, sometimes like what happens, right? Customer sends request like saying that, hey, this is the functionality it has to be, and why don't we you guys use this functionality? So what they open a ticket. Okay, they have the ticket management system where the customer sends a request. Okay, where the customer sends a request, then they that request they convert into business requirements, and there once that's done, they do this acceptance testing. Okay, so that's called acceptance testing. Okay, so this type of testing is to system meets the customer specified requirements. So whatever the customer is saying, it has to meet that requirements, right? So that's called acceptance testing. So it's kind of UAT. UAT is like user acceptance testing. Okay, that's being more specific to the user, and this acceptance testing is like in general. Okay. So to test, to verify that system meets the customer specified requirements, it's called acceptance testing. Okay. So let's go to the next. Okay, before going to load testing, right? We'll talk about this performance testing. So this performance testing, right? So let me give some. So before going to this performance testing, right? Let me give some little bit background of this. Why do we need this performance testing? Okay, so this performance testing is normally the end of this. It's normally the end of this QA cycle actually. Okay, once you complete all those various types of testing, like regression testing is done, then you move to the performance testing. So here you actually see the performance of the system. Okay, let's let's say you have this one server. Okay, and let's take an example here. Okay, Amazon.com. So whenever the customer wants to log in into, it's not even login. Okay, so we are not even talking about the login. We are just just using this URL. Okay, this uses URL. Okay, so use this URL and put into the browser. Right. So let's say one customer does that. Okay, and now Amazon.com is not just not only for US, right? It's anyone can access it, and anyone and everyone can access. Whoever has the internet and whoever has this browser, whatever browser they are using, and, anyone who has this browser and internet access can access this Amazon.com. It's not only the US, it's only that some people have. It's not like so whole worldwide, right? So Amazon. So whenever in user, let's say one user is logging, that's fine. And you have this one server. Okay, let's say your all this website is put into one server. Okay, and that server has some limited amount of, like, it can process limited amount of data, and it cannot process more than some specified requirement. So let's say that server only accept 50 users. Let's say 50 users it can accept. That means whenever you're trying to log in into this, just access it. We are not even talking about the login. We are just trying to copy, paste that URL, and hitting enter. So only that, we are doing only that. Let's say, oh, that server accepts only 50. Now, suddenly, since so Amazon.com is worldwide, right? So suddenly, like 1,000 people are accessing the same thing at the same amount of time. Okay, same amount of time. That means at this point of time, let's say, at this time, I'm just, using this, and 1,000 people are doing it once. Like, can anyone explain what happens? 1,000 people are, and we only have one server, and it accepts only 50 users. And only 15 users are able to, able to put that. Okay, only 50 users is able to, put that URL in the browser. But suddenly, 1,000 people has logged in. 1,000 people are trying to access this URL. So, can anyone say what happens? What exactly happens to that? Right. So, the website doesn't work properly. At the worst case, what happens? The server, server gets blown. Right. Server gets blown because, see, whenever you're trying to access something, you're actually trying to get the information from see, all this information is stored in the server, right? It's okay. It's stored in the databases, and all these images, and all this data, all is stored in the database. Where is the database? In the server. Which server? Okay, Amazon server. So it's located at the client server, and it is okay. So it's located in the client server, and all the information is stored. And whenever you're trying to access it, right, it takes some amount of resource from the server. Okay, it takes some amount of memory. It's, the processor runs. It has to process that many data. So it's like 50 users, right? 50 user data. It has to process. A lot of things goes on at the back end. Okay, a lot of things happen in the server. Okay, so whenever 1,000 people are logging at, 1,000 people are accessing that URL at same time at that moment, what happens, right? It cannot process that amount of data at once, and at the end it may get blown because the processor runs so fast. Okay, so the processor runs so fast, and it gets, in the worst case, it gets blown. Okay, so so you don't want to happen that, right? Amazon don't want to, so that that server gets, it will be no more use, and you cannot use this again. Nobody can log in into that server. Okay, so that will be no more use. Okay, so what we have to do now. Let's say now we have this one more server. Let's say we are doing one more server, and now we have these two servers. Okay, two servers. Now each server can access 50 users. Okay, server 1 and server 2. Server 1 50 users, and server 2 50 users. So total 100 users. So now you can access like 100 people at once. So but there is something called load balancer. Okay. Now let's say, for example, let's say Amazon.com, 100 people are logging into that. 100 people are accessing this URL at the same time. Okay, 100 people are accessing this URL at the same time. So what happens, right? That server, it takes like only 50 users. That load balancer balances the load. Take the 50 users and put into that one server, and remaining 50 users it put into the other server. That's called load balancing. So it balances the load. Okay. So in the same way, you can have these multiple servers. You can have 100, 200 servers, and all the loads. So that's the reason, right? like Google had like I think in 2013 or 2014, Google had like 1 million servers all over the world because a lot of people access it. Okay, so almost everyone uses this Google. So they had like 1 million servers to just for their for accessing that website. So that's how they can maintain. Okay, so that's how they have this load balancing system, and they balances the load. Okay, so whoever is logging more, put into the other free server, and they can access it. Okay, so that's about this. Just little background on this uh, performance system. So let's go back to our so in the performance testing, right? So you have this there's two sub level, that is load testing and stress testing. So this is classified into under two subcategories, that is load testing. Performance testing is classified into two subcategories, load testing and stress testing. Okay, so in the load testing, right? So we test that we put the heavy load onto the server, and we want to see that how the application, how the performance of an application after putting that load. Okay, so what the load? So we'll be just putting like just accessing this URL or signing in. That's the amount of load. So see what's the load? So the load, whatever you're trying to access in this web page is actually the load. Because see, let's say if you are trying to click here, so let's say you're clicking this. So when you're clicking that button, right, it has to go to that server. It has to fetch that information from that server. Have to get that particular database. It has to go to the particular database, and it brings all the information that is stored in the database and shows in the web page. Right, so it does a lot of things. So that means you are trying to access the server. Okay, you are trying to get some information and from that server and get some data. So all the database, it's there in the all database in the server, and trying to access that particular information. So that's called load testing. So you're putting some load. So even if you're clicking something, if you're not even clicking, you are just accessing this URL, just putting copy and paste, and putting. You are trying to access that server. That means you're putting load. That's a load. Okay, you're clicking this button. That's a load. So whatever you're trying to click or something, or you're doing something, that because it has to get a query. So nobody's actually nobody's actually writing some query whenever you click. It's like automatic. Because in production environment, it's automatically get it generates a query, and it generates a query to the server and fetches that information from the database and puts out here. So it's nobody has to write some SQL query. It's automatically generated. Okay, so that kind of testing is called load testing. Okay, so testing an application under heavy load. So heavy loads, like let's say 10 people are accessing that same website, 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. So you want to see how the application performs after putting the load of 100 people. So okay, so in the real time you cannot we don't have this 100 people or 1,000 people, right? We use a tool called load runner. So that tool mimics that real user. So let's say how much amount of the load 1,000 people will be putting, that much amount it mimics. Okay, so that's called virtual user. Okay, so it's a virtual user, which whenever you click on that, okay, so the load runner is a tool which you use to load. We use for the load testing as well as stress testing. Okay, so that's a very good question, actually. Not sure why the audio is not good. I mean, it's been like I've tested it. it was the audio was good in some place. Now it's it's always happening. So yeah, no, the audio is not good, but you know, I've already opened a ticket, so so we'll see like how it goes. Yeah, performance testing is done by the tool load runner. So load runner is the tool where you can. So there are many tools. Load runner is one of the tools. Also there is like load UI. Okay, so that also does the load testing. Okay. Any more questions in load testing? So just we want to put heavy load. Just like 1,000 people are accessing that URL and 1,000 people are logging into that system. Okay, and we want to see how the application performs after putting the 1,000 people. So that's called load testing. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Stress test. So in this stress testing, right, we'll go beyond this load. So not even just load, we just put more amount. Not even just load, and also put um, large number of storage capacity, complex database queries, continuous input to the system or database load. So that means, so previously I told us we are just accessing this URL, right? We're just accessing 1,000 people are accessing this URL. Now, not even this URL. Now 1,000 people are also trying to log in, just like sign in, and they're just browsing this. They're just signed in application, and they're trying to browse this various products and want to see which products you buy. So that's they are completely browsing this. Whenever you're trying to browse, that means it has to get the query to this server. It creates a query, and not just one user, two user, three user. It's like 1,000 users at once. At just a given amount of time. So that's called stress. Okay, so that's called stress because we are just not even just logging in. We are just browsing the whole database of whatever the Amazon.com. Okay, and we were just putting the queries, complex database queries, and so all those things. So that's called stress testing. So we go beyond putting load. Okay. So yeah, how do we put full load in virtually? So that is thing which is taken care of from the load runner tool. So load runner tool takes care of it. So if you put like, let's say if you want to put like 1,000 people, so it creates, it mimics that how much the 1,000 people, has that, how much the 1,000 people can create that much amount of load, it can create. Okay, so it's all taken care by the tool. So we are not going to do manually. So we are not doing anything manually because we don't have like 1,000 people to log in at once, right? We don't do it manually. But in production, of course, 1,000 people will be logging in. So that's why the tool takes care of it. So the tool has its own style of you have to do some coding in that. Okay, so there's also coding, and that's normally C++ or C language coding. Okay, so that's about the testing. Any questions? So in performance testing, what we'll be doing is like we'll be viewing the various graphs. Okay, a lot of graphs like throughput and system graphs, and like how the applications, how the throughput of an application, how the application is performing after a given point of load. So all those things. So there's so many graphs that you'll be looking into graph and seeing that you'll be making it okay. So how many servers do we need more? And what is the peak time of the server? Okay, what is the peak time people are logging it? Okay, how many people are logged? So all those information they'll get using this performance system. Okay. So let's move to any questions in performance testing. let's move to the next one. So we have this usability testing. Okay, usability testing is like user friendliness. So you are testing user friendliness in an application. So what you do is like an application flow is tested. Okay, so a new user is able to understand this application easily. So let's take an example here. Okay, so let's go to Amazon.com. Let's log out. So now here we want to do is usability testing. Okay, so you have this. Okay, let's take this Firefox. That should be good. So we have this, this website, okay, Amazon.com, and you want to buy something. Let's say I'm a customer and I want to buy something. Okay, so the moment I want to buy something, I want something to be right in my in front of my face, like everything. So let's say if I want something, let's say this speaker, I want to buy the speaker. So now when I want this, I want to sign in. Okay, so you can do guest checkout. That's a different thing. If you're a regular customer, you want to sign in. Okay, you want to see how many products you have ordered and how many products are there. You want to sign in. So this sign in button is here. Okay, so okay, as a user, I want this sign in button right in front of my face. Okay, so I don't want like sign in button in some insignificant position of the page. Like let's say if you're putting in some footer of this page, how does the user know that sign in button is here? You're putting the sign in button here and you don't put here, and I want to buy. So where I need to find, okay, how do I supposed to know where the sign in button is? If you put somewhere in the, so that's not user friendly application. So that's the testing we'll be doing, that usability testing. That means user friendliness check. So it should be user friendly. So as a user, as a customer of Amazon, like I want this, right in front of here. I don't care, right side, left side. Whenever I see this application, I need to get that, I need to buy that thing, and I need to get this thing. So I want to have need to just click on this sign in button and I need to sign. So that is called usability testing. Okay. Okay. So you're trying to see is user friendliness. You're trying to test user friendliness, how user friendly that application is. Okay, the application should be user friendly, right? Because a new customer, you don't know. You don't know where the sign in button is, where is login button, you don't know. So it should be, very easy for him to find out where the, button is, or where, he has to log in. Okay. So that kind of testing is called usability testing. So basically, navigation system is checked in this testing. So based on the requirements, so it is also like based on the requirements. Whatever the requirements is there, based on that, they will be doing this usability testing. Any questions in usability testing? Okay, so let's go to the next. So install and uninstall testing. So this is, yeah, somebody asked, right? So client application. So these are more related to client applications. So whenever you install some application, some software, let's say Yahoo Messenger. So that's a client server application. Okay, whenever you try to install that, when you install it, a lot of things happen. The registry keys gets updated, DLL files get updated, a lot of things happen. So to test that is called install and uninstall testing. Okay. So whenever you install an application, you're testing it, and whenever you uninstall it, you still again test it. So you know how to install an application, right? So let's show you an example. So whenever you can install, if you have um, okay, or you can also install from this control panel. Okay, so normally you can use this for uninstall. So here you go, uninstall program. Okay, so here you can uninstall a program. So that's kind of testing is called install and uninstall testing. Okay, so let's go to the next. Next we have this recovery testing. Okay, in this recovery testing, right? So let's say your system has been crashed. Okay, let's say for some server issue or something like the system got crashed. That means it's not moving forward and the application has become slow and it's not moving forward. So okay, so you want to test that how the system recovers from the crash. Okay, how it recovers automatically. No one actually is interfering. Automatically, how it recovers from this crash is called recovery testing. So that's called recovery, and to test that is called recovery testing. Okay, so testing how well a system recovers from crash or hardware failures or other catastrophic problems is called recovery testing. Okay, so then you have this. We have this security testing. So security testing is like to test how the system protect from unauthorized external access. Okay, so let's take an example here. Okay, so let's say you want to let's go to google.com. So you have this HTTPS. Let's say you are HTTPS. The HTTP is actually hypertext transfer protocol. It is S, that means secure. Okay, so it's HTTPS, hypertext transfer protocol secure. So if there is no S, that means someone can, like if you are using only HTTP, like someone can see your information, what you are trying to do online. Okay, they can find out. So if it is secure, that means whatever you're doing, any transaction online, you're putting the credit card information or whatever information you're trying to put online. So if there is no S, there is HTTP, then someone can view that information and they can hack that one. If it is S, then it is encrypted. Okay, all the information is encrypted and they have the algorithm. So they encrypt that to the algorithm and transfer that information to that server in a pretty secure manner, and there it gets decrypted at the server. So this kind of testing is called security testing. You're trying to test an application how much secure it is. Okay. So testing how well the system protects against unauthorized or external access. Any questions? Yes, this can also be. So whatever I'm saying, right? I'm like only taking an example of web application. So yes, it also can be done into the client application. So whatever client applications are, so it can also be performed that with the same scenarios. Okay. Okay. So let's move to the next. So we have this, one more like compatibility testing. So here you are trying to test how the software is compatible to that operating system. Okay. Okay, testing how well the software performs in a particular, operating system, or the particular hardware. Okay, so that kind of testing is called compatibility. So basically, you're trying to see how the software is compatible to the operating system. The operating system, and so like let's say Mac has a completely different operating system, right? And Windows has a complete different, and the hardwares are also completely different. Okay, so the both whatever applications you have been designed, so those two applications will be completely different because it has to work in that Mac. It also has to work for the Windows. Okay, so in that case, you want to see this compatibility of that software. So that's called compatibility testing. Okay, next you have this comparison testing. So here you compare the two products. To compare those two products, what are the strength and weakness of those two products. So normally you will be comparing the two different versions actually. Okay, you will be two different same application, two different, and you want to compare. So which is good and which is not, and you want to use that one. Okay, so that's called comparison testing. And next we have this alpha testing. So alpha testing is actually in-house virtual user environment. So once the development, let's say the development is completed, so just before checking the code into test environment, so you have this, as I told you, right? You have this dev environment, test environment, production environment. So before checking in the code to the test environment, you want to do some testing there. Okay, so that's called alpha testing. So normally done by the okay, so normally it's done by the developers. Okay, so I mean it depends on different projects. In some projects, developers actually does this alpha testing, or in some projects, whoever is responsible on the project, like Scrum Master or project manager, or the developer or tester, whoever is responsible, they do this testing. Okay, so normally the end of the developing phase, so that's called alpha testing. Okay. Next, go to the next one. So we have this beta testing. So beta testing is done by the end users. Let's say a company has released a new application, and they have released into the market. They have released into the market, but they don't want to trust. So they don't trust the developers and testers. Because there are something that have missed. So they say to the user, okay, you do this testing. So they release this product to the whole world. Okay, and they say that okay, customers let the customers do the testing, and you come up with defects, we'll fix it and put into a new version and release that that original product into the market. So that's called beta testing. So this is done by the end users. So normally the consumers or the customers who are trying to access this application. Okay, so normally they give only the demo version. They don't release the complete final version. Actually, they just give the demo version and they say, okay, find out the bugs in this and forward to us, and we will fix these issues and we will release a new application. Okay, the complete on the complete application and release into the market. So that's called beta testing, and it is done by the end users. Okay, so with this we have completed all different types of testing. So any questions in this?
Software testing is a related software, so it is step by.
So which testing is needed for responsiveness of website? So I would say performance testing, because this is all, whatever. So it's based on the performance of application, right? Application is behaving well, application is slow, application is fast. So all this is done in the performance system. Okay. So yeah, these are like, done one by one. Okay. So these are done like one by one, and so normally the procedure is like, first you move to smoke testing, then you go to the sanity testing, then functional testing. So it's like, there's a procedure like you go like, in systematic order, but not always that the case. Sometimes you may not have, sometimes you may not do the smoke testing. Sometimes you don't do sanity testing. So you skip that because it may not require in that project. That project doesn't require that. So you will skip that. Okay, so you'll be working on the other types of testing. Okay. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, so let's go to. So with this we have done with various types of testing. Let's you know um, let's say you went with the project. Okay, let's say you've gone to the project, and your lead, your lead or your manager said like, okay, now you have this application, and okay, they don't say what the application is. You need to figure it out yourself. And they said like, okay, so start testing this. Okay, they'll say, start testing this. And somehow, you found out this is the, you talk to your lead, you talk to your colleague. Okay, so let me also do this. So everything volume is high. Okay. Okay, yeah, some people can hear, some people cannot. So there might be no issues with the internet. Okay. Anyhow, just put that issue. So I'll just put this issue to them. Okay, so let's say you have this application, and you need to test this application. Okay, so you are not going to ask like what kind of testing you'll be doing. Of course, you'll be doing all. Okay, unless specified, they specify something specific like smoke testing or sanity testing. Otherwise, we are all be doing functional testing. Okay. So now you have found out this application. Somehow you figured out this application, and your lead says, okay, start testing this application. Now you're not going to ask like, what you need to test. That's not a valid question, because you are supposed to know what, because you are a tester. And they hired you for that reason to test this application, but not what to test and what not to test. They are not going to say for any reason like what you need to test and what you not. It's your job. Okay. As a tester, you're supposed to know what you need to test and what is not. Okay. Now you have this application. Now you need to test each and every module should be tested. Okay. So these buttons. So let's say there's a lot of things you have to test, right? URL. So you have this URL, you have this image. Okay. The image is in this domain, and you have these buttons. Okay. So let's here I'm clicking this button, enter GMO online, and here you found. Okay, so let me just trying to test this application now. Okay, and I just this like now I figured out this is a selling it's a kind of Amazon retail company, and they want to see like all this application is working fine or not. So I'm just trying to test this application. Click on the order and quantity and place an order, and just proceed with an order. And I need to fill up all this information here. American Express. I'll use this. Okay. And then place an order. Okay. So I placed an order. Okay. So I placed an order of quantity 3% Dome 10, which will be shipped to my address. So this is my address. And okay, and I'll be get billed to this. So this is a receipt. Okay. So I got this. Okay. So we didn't find any bugs here. The thing is, we didn't test anything. We just went to the one flow, that is one positive flow, and just because we did it only in one scenario and just we purchased some like only the 10 quantity, and we didn't find any defects here, because it looks like okay, it's very simple, I can do this, this is no big deal. But technically we didn't do any testing here. We just went to only one flow. What just a one flow. There are so many ways to do this. Okay, so let's go back what we missed actually. Okay, so that was one flow, and we thought that okay, the application is good, and we okay, if this thing goes into production and there is an issue in the production, then you are going to be they'll catch your neck, saying that okay, why this issue was not resolved. Okay, so it's your job to find out the issues, and you will have issues whether you like it or don't like it. So every application has issue. You need to have this opinion. So whenever let me give some. Whenever you're testing an application, you need to have this opinion that this application will have defects. And trust me, every application has this defect. Even Google.com has defects. Even everything. So I just reported so many defects to Google itself. So, every application has defects. You need to have that opinion. Unless and until you have that opinion, you cannot test an application. Trust me, you need to have that opinion that this has defects. Okay. So now let's go what we need to do. So let's say I'm a company. Let's say I'm ordering for my company. Okay, company people, right? You have this 1,000 people and 2,000 people, and I need to order for all of them. 2,000 people, right? 2,000, 3,000 people. And I'm not going to buy one or two. It's not just for me, right? It's like whole people there, all thousands of people. Now, so I'm ordering in large quantity. Let's say I'm ordering in very large quantity, right? Okay. So I'm ordering all this in this pretty large quantity because I need to test, right? I need to see what's wrong. Okay, so I'm ordering this and just placing an order. And this order went through, and okay, this many quantities I'm getting. Okay, so can anyone identify what the issue here? So there is an issue here. So there is a defect. Okay, and can you guys figure it out what's actually the issue is in this application? So I'm trying to order this in large quantities. So we went, everything was good. We were just ordered only 10 quantity, and we thought that is very good, and we thought that application is good, and we thought like we can close this because our testing is done. But that doesn't look like. Now we have an issue. Can anyone say what the issue here is? Exactly. That's a very good catch. The shipping and handling is $5. So do you think, USPS, when ordering these kind of large quantities, USPS just charges you only for $5? Seriously? I mean, you're ordering these many quantities, 3% dome, and it's like, almost 1 million, almost 1 million quantity. And, and USPS only charges $5, that doesn't make sense. Does everyone agree with that? So that's an issue. Right? So that's an issue because when you're trying to order in large quantities, okay, normally that things get tripled or based on whatever the quantities. Okay, the company, we have this separate thing. Okay, if you order more than 100, we provide free shipping or something like that. Okay, more than $100 free shipping. That's a different, whole together different story. But on the web page, we are, it's displaying like shipping and handling $5. That doesn't make sense because when you're trying to order these large quantities, USPS doesn't charge us $5 even if so it normally just doesn't get shipped by USPS. It has to get shipped by either FedEx or UPS or something, but not by USPS. Even if they ship it to USPS, this doesn't take $5. No way. Okay, so that is an issue. So this is what you need to catch that one. Okay. So that is one issue. Okay. So okay, good. So we understood one. Now let's find. So see, there are so many issues. I'll just give you like 3 to 4 examples, and rest you need to do the homework and make sure don't come up with the issues what I have told in the class. Okay, so I'm just giving you for your understanding how to catch an issue. Okay, so far we don't know how to open a defect, right? So you need to first catch an issue. So there is an issue all over the web page. Trust me, you need to find out. Okay, we found one. There are plenty. Trust me, there are plenty. Okay. Now let me give you one more issue. Okay. So please, when giving, so I'll be giving you homework. Please don't, come up with the issues what I have told you. Okay, you need to come up with your own issues because there are so many things which I don't tell. That thing you need to come up with, and everyone has their own, should be unique issues. Okay. Okay. Second issue. Let's figure it out. This second issue. Okay. First issue. Unit price should be whole number. Okay, good. Okay, so we'll yeah, that is a good thing. I'll also discuss on that one. Okay. Now I'm trying to order like 100 quantity. Okay, but let me check this. My question is like when I'm trying to order this 100 quantity, is it in stock? Like, do we really have this in stock? 100 quantities? Oh no, I need to make sure that, right? I don't know. Is it in stock or no? How do I know? Okay, let's click on this URL. Right click on this URL 3dome%10 and I get this new web page again here. Okay, good. And oh, here it shows in stock 23. Oh, Okay, in stock 23. So that means you cannot order more than 23, right? You are only 23 and in stock is 23. You cannot order more than 23. It's not even possible. So now you place an order 100. Now how are you supposed to go through that web page when there is only 23 items in stock? You're not supposed to get more than, it has to show some error, right? Saying that, no, please order less than 23, or please order only 23, because in stock is 20. There is no issue. There is no, I mean, pop-up window or something like that, just to show that, you cannot order this. Now it's going through. Let's click on this and, just I'll put this American Express card and this. Place an order. Oh, so I just placed an order with quantity 100. Now, this is a very critical issue. So so first let me ask you this. So everyone agrees this is an issue? Right. So, okay. Now this is, I mean, like, to be honest, this issue is very critical issue, because, see, let's say customer didn't notice. So, as a tester, we need to know all this. But customer didn't notice that it's only in 23. He didn't see, 23 in stock, and he wanted to buy 100. And let's say he purchased 100 and he got only 23 because it's in stock 23. They cannot ship 100, right? There's no way, because it's only in 23. That goes into backlog items, and that has to come from the factory, and so a lot of things happen. Now customer only gets 23 items. Now the customer says, no, what is it? I placed for quantity 100. I'm getting 23. He calls up the company saying that what's going on. I just order 100. So I'm sorry, sir. No, it's not going to happen. Cancel my order. I don't want this. No, I'll just move to the different company. So this, where the business is going to hit. I mean, that's where the business will be going to lose, because, you are screwing up that customer's information. Like, the customer is supposed to get only 23 and he has to place only 23, but he's getting like placing 100 and he'll get only 23. So that's an, critical issue for the company, and company might lose a customer. Might argue with the company saying that, this is not a good way. I've paid the complete amount. I've paid like 31,000 on this, and you are shipping only 23. This is no way. You never told me, like, all those things. So there's a lot of argument goes on, and a lot of cost. At the end of the day, company loses business. As a tester, this is very critical issue, and you need to explain this to the lead too. The same thing. So when you find such kind of issue, you need to explain this lead, saying that this is the issue. Okay, when you are having this in stock 23, you cannot place more than 23. Why? Because if customer gets ordered and gets billed for 100, but he gets only 23, then company loses the customer. Okay, so that's a second issue. Okay, so let me give one more example on this, and rest of them will be the homework. Okay, let me give one more example of this issue, and the rest of them you need to find out. The whole page is yours. Make sure you also test all these 3 buttons here. Okay, all this. Only thing is, we don't have requirements for now. Don't worry about requirements. Just use common sense. How to test an application. Just use your common sense. We don't have a requirement saying that, okay, this catalog should be in green color, it's a black color or white color. We don't care for now. Let's assume this is right. We need to use our common sense for now. Okay, then once you have this requirement, you can figure it out. That will be an issue. That's a separate whole thing altogether. But here we are trying to use our common sense for now. Okay, another issue. Now, when you're testing these fields, now we are trying to test these fields. Okay, so these fields are only digit field. That means you need to only put digits. Somebody said like whole numbers. Okay, whole numbers, but not 0. Whole number you put 0, right? It's not So it should, only should the number 1, 2, 3, okay, and so on. It should not accept any digit which is less than 0 or alphabets. Okay, so there are 3 types of scenarios in where you are trying to test these fields or whatever scenarios you're doing. The three types of scenarios. One is positive scenario, the other is negative scenario, and the other is boundary values. Positive scenario is what you're trying to test this, putting the values, the right values, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And negative scenarios, which is other than digit. So, for example, digit, you are putting like A. Not a value, so it pop up saying that please enter only digits in this field. Right? That's my here. So let's see this in the Firefox. We have already. Not going to do this. Okay. The 3 types of testing you need to do is positive values, negative values. Positive scenario, negative scenario, and boundary values. Okay. So we have done this positive, put that numbers here. Negative values is something other than numbers, like -1 shows an please don't turn it, makes sense. We cannot order in a quantity of -1, right? That doesn't make sense. Okay, good. And A, please enter only, that makes sense. So these are the negative values, and boundary values is kind of, just putting instead of numbers, they're putting 0.001. So we are not, we cannot order something which is like 0.001. Doesn't make sense, right? So these 3 scenarios you need to do testing when you're trying to do. Okay, so let's find out a bug here. Okay, now I'm putting some special character. Okay, that's not even special character. Let's say I'm putting some -0, -0, no, -10. Okay, and by mistake, I'm not using this mouse and say like for some reason mouse was not working, I'm going to hit it. Okay, just go. Okay, let's put it here. Okay. And okay, good. So I'm just putting a minus, and let's say we override this application. Let's put this A. Okay, we just put, and by mistake we are not using any mouse. Okay, we're not using any. Okay, if you put this place, if you're clicking this, or if you're hitting this enter, okay, so it's not showing error right now. If you're putting this, that's fine. You're putting some values here, and hitting enter, it's going through. So you cannot order a quantity of A and the unit price, total price of $0 and charging you for $5 for nothing. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, right? You cannot get a quantity of A. What's a quantity? Quantity is in numbers, 1, 2, 3. It's A. Okay, that's a defect. So that's that's like it's not supposed to happen. Like it's a completely a different thing. You cannot hit place an order and it's not supposed to go to the next page immediately after clicking it. So this is a bug. Okay, this is a bug. And you're going to charge it $5 for nothing, and you put in all this information and it goes through. So if an application has gone through and this is a bug, because you cannot ship an item, it's a quantity of A, right? So this is one more issue. So we talked about 3 issues, right? So and also you make sure whenever you're trying to do the testing, it has to be 3 scenarios: positive scenario, negative scenario, and boundary values. Any questions? So this is this is the issues how we can take in an application. So I've just given an example. There are many ways to do this. Okay, so I'm just given an example like how to test an application overall. When you have this application, how are you going to test? Normally field values, the flow, positive flow, negative flow, you need to test all those things. Any questions so far? So I'll be giving you homework. Okay, so you need to test all the 3 buttons, so almost everything, the whole web page, this images. Okay, this you need to, we don't have this requirement, so we don't know this image should be in the right side or left side, so we don't worry about it. Okay, we don't worry about it, and this color should be green color, blue color, white color, we don't care. Okay, we don't have this requirement, so we don't worry about it. What we worry is about how to use an application, how to navigate this application, what values it's accepting and what values it's not accepting, and what buttons it's working. Okay, in the real time we do see all those things, and the cosmetic issues also we see that, but for now we are only worrying about this application. Any questions? So this is called functional testing. So this is all like functional testing. So you are testing the functionality of an application. So that's a very good question. So in that case, right, see, you don't have, saying that you don't have the shipping order. That's a good catch. So that is something which may not be valid. So that can be a feature. Okay. So in that scenarios, you cannot open like something like bugs. So you need to request that feature from the BA saying that, hey, can we also add this date and shipping address? We don't see that which when it will be shipped. Okay, what is the date that has been placed? Can we put that? So that is a feature, not a bug. Because why? Because company might have been like didn't bother about it. I mean, they didn't notice that one. Okay, so they need to add a new feature. Okay, they want to add a new feature saying that, okay, we want to make sure that delivery address and delivery date and delivery time, they want to show that. So that will be a feature, not a bug, because that is something which is not there in the application and you want to add that. So that is a job of a business analyst or product owner. Thinks about it. When you say, when you tell them, say, hey, can you add this? So they will give you some reason saying that, okay, we are not going to add for now. We'll go into the next release. Then we'll think about it. Do something. Okay. So something which is not there here and you want to add, that will be a feature, not a defect. Defect is something which is there here, but it's displaying wrong, or it's behaving in the wrong manner, then it will be a defect. Of course, that feature can also be defect if you have in requirements. In the requirements it shows that delivery address and it's showing in the requirements that delivery address and time. Here it's not showing, then that will be a defect, of course, because it's there in the requirements. The requirement shows that. Here it's not showing, that's a defect. But if it's not there in the requirements, it's not there in the application, then that will be a feature, not a defect. Okay. Any more questions? So I'll be giving you instructions. So I'll send you an email. So you'll be having all the instructions on that, like how to. So this is actually that's a URL. It's a browser URL. I'll just send you a new URL. No big deal. So okay. So I'll send you the instructions. So you'll not have any issues. Just follow those instructions, and you know so that will be. Any more questions? So make sure you guys, you know, test all this application, go through it. You have like uh, 24 hours, okay, less than 24 hours, but uh, go through it, take some time, uh, 2 3 hours, just analyze this application, what is it all about, go through it and open some good defects, okay? Defects that what I have not told you in the class, and defects which I don't know. You might come up with some defects which I don't know. Okay, that can be something, okay? Because I also don't know, so many defects might be there. Because whenever you're trying to test an application, keep in always mind that you need to have this opinion that this application has defects. Then only you will get defects. You need to have that opinion saying that, okay, no, I find this defects here. Okay, you will get defects. Okay, so if no one has any questions, can we close this class for today? Okay, yeah, thank you guys.